This is Andy Thayer with Gray Stack Media, talking with 25th Ward Chicago Alderman Byron Sigcho-Lopez, who is also now a candidate for Congress. And as you know, I just did an interview with the ambassador as well as the second secretary to Cuba. Cuba is facing a very difficult moment right now, not just because of the blockade of oil going into the country, which is affecting a whole range of services, but also the threat of war. As a congressional candidate, how do you feel about the way that Congress is behaving right now towards Cuba?
Well, the atrocities that we have continued to support by blocking humanitarian aid, blocking oil ships that could be life-saving mechanisms. Right now, we have people in hospitals that cannot have respirators, people in hospitals who have babies in the NICUs. This is an atrocity. For us to threaten to invade a democracy or anywhere, wherever in the world, wherever we intervene, has always resulted in the imposition of dictators. Look at the history of Latin America. We must, in this moment in history, make sure that in our country, we fight to make sure that these same fascist regimes that are attacking Americans in our country don't attack people abroad. This is the moment where we have to, like Chicago City Council, pass a unanimous resolution to lift the embargo, to take Cuba out of the states that sponsor terrorism. In the meantime, Congress has okayed the president to invade and bomb anyone as he pleases, to go and kidnap presidents of heads of state. This is not the way that we are going to leave our children a better world. This is the moment where we must stand in international solidarity. We cannot go back to the times of Fulgencio Batista, the dictators that treat their own countries like colonies. We cannot go back to the times where people disappear. Those are the dictators like Pinochet in Chile and beyond. This is the moment that we learn from history and look ahead.
Secretary Rubio has been one of the most vehement advocating for an invasion of an attack on Cuba, and part of his modus operandi was to claim that, well, I'm Cuban American and therefore I know what it's like. But it turns out now that for many, many years he basically lied about when his family came to the United States, who was actually under the Batista dictatorship.
Yeah.
And what message would you give to Secretary Rubio?
And same as Ted Cruz, learn from your history. The dictators that we have imposed on other countries are the dictators that have treated countries as colonies, as I said, extracting wealth, disappearing people. This is the world that Marco Rubio, Ted Cruz, Trump and his cronies want us to believe is the only option. On the other hand, we can reckon with our history. Know that those atrocities abroad are now coming home. And now, more than ever, every American, we all have the responsibility to stand up to a regime that is telling us that Cuba, of all places, poses an existential threat to our country. Cuba who sent literacy campaigns to Chicago. Cuba who has sent medical missions in Chicago when even the federal government has not taken care of American citizens. We see today almost 100,000 people in Illinois lost medical coverage. We have, and that's what City Council passed a unanimous resolution. Two, one to lift the embargo in Cuba, and another one to take Cuba out of the states that sponsor terrorism. Because here in Chicago, and it was unanimous. Why? Because people here in Chicago know that the Cuban people have been kind, and they have helped our communities when their own government has neglected us.
Now, the United States frequently talks about supporting democracy, and yet it's very close with, for example, the Saudi dictatorship and any number of dictators around the world. When they say that they want to bring democracy to Cuba, what do you say about that?
Look, we're going to see what agendas they've been behind. In Argentina, even just in America. In Argentina, we support a maniac that has taken Argentina to the almost total collapse. This is the regimes that we support, fascist regimes that repress their people, and we have history of that. I mentioned in Pinochet in the first 9/11, right? September 11 in Chile was a tragic day, a day where a conspiracy by Nixon and the CIA ended up killing a democratically elected president. And Pinochet and his regime of terror disappear thousands of Chileans. This is what they want back. These are the kind of governments that they are supporting. And who are they trying to undermine? Democracies like in Mexico, where they're trying to destabilize an entire country, the whole region. Why? To continue bombing people abroad, to build whatever empires and resorts and casinos that they want to build at the mercy and at the expense of the working people. So this is the time for working people in our country and abroad to be in solidarity. The only minority destroying the world is the billionaire class.
And then finally, all of Congress, not just the Republicans, have been either mute or outright calling for sanctions against Cuba, if not outright war. What would you say to the Democrats and their lack of response in terms of respecting Cuban sovereignty?
Shame on them. And I think that they should rather join delegations, as Congressman Jonathan Jackson and Representative Delia Ramirez have called, to go and see what's happening in Cuba. See it firsthand. See if Cuba poses any threat to anyone, to anybody in the whole continent. So I think that we also should have Congressman Garcia to join the delegation, by the way, because we cannot speak on both sides of our mouths. We cannot say that we're pro-democracy, but yet want to invade sovereign nations. We cannot say that we stand on the side of Americans when using taxpaying dollars to disappear people abroad and at home and call this democracy. We got to call it for what it is, and Democrats should, especially the Democratic establishment, should stand up for working people when people are losing medical care, when people are losing their homes, when they cannot pay rent, when they lost SNAP benefits like in Illinois, almost 100,000 people or so. This is the moment that Democrats should stand. This is the bipartisan system for the billionaires. And now we need the representatives to stand up and communists to stand up to the atrocities that we see in our country, in our neighborhoods, and abroad.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Andy.
And good luck on the
Always.
campaign.
Thank you so much.